Okay, would you like to prioritize the question? Is Adriana going to do that?
I can help prioritize questions. We actually have a few that came up during the plenary talk as well. Maybe one of the easiest ones that will help frame this whole time is how many people is an ideal number to have in a creative capacity training? Is there a number that becomes too many?
Yeah, the number has to be between 25 and 30 people. That is the manageable group. But the people from different livelihood is better.
Yeah, and even 20 would be a good number.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
some
very
diversity of the group.
Yes, that leads to a good second question we had, which was, how do you enable creative conversation and good conversation when you have very diverse groups in one training?
We normally use the participatory rural appraisal tools. The facilitator should not dominate the participants. It's just leading them and guiding them for them to give their opinions, their ideas, and the perceptions that they have and their feelings. Because, they present their challenges that are felt need challenges from their livelihood. Therefore, you have to give them room so that they can decide, they can make decision and also contribute the ideas, what they think.
Sometimes a gender issue is there, and if women are not free to speak, you might need to put the women alone to discuss, or you might have quite a difference of engineers with farmers. You might have to separate them just to give the farmers some confidence to speak in front of engineers, but you need to build a confidence level that everyone's question is no stupid question, everyone's contribution is of high value.
And it is also depending on the type of challenges that have been mentioned there during the training.
There's another question in this same area that was asked. They said, during your presentation, attendees were invited to the CCB training. How do you decide who comes, especially if you have too many people who want to come to the training?
Yeah, let's say for the community, the training which is happening in the community, we go there before, some weeks before we have to go to the community using the community entry procedures, discussing with the community leaders, telling them about the training, and we choose people from, depending on the livelihood of the livelihood activities that are happening in that particular village. We advise them to prepare people from each category of livelihood. And we go again and interview these people to check them whether there is a good representation of each livelihood group. And thereafter, we plan the training. By doing that, involving leaders and telling openly what, by considering all categories of livelihood groups, we are able to come up with good representations like entrepreneurs, farmers, like local fabricators, all people, and that is how we do.
At the college, it's also a challenge, and usually the students are formed into groups of between 3 to 6 people, and then they choose their own interests, and so they join the interest group, and that's how they're probably a smaller numbers, so it's not so difficult.
That's very good perspective. And I suppose there's differences with every community that you are attempting to do the CCB training in.
Yes, for example, with keepers, we needed to choose people who had livestock and were interested in, not just people who were interested in attending a training.
William had a very good question. He said, the mindset in Liberia is that we do things the way that we do them, and that changing things or developing better practices is discouraged. Do you have any encouragement for him of ways to break the mindset of always doing things the way we have?
This is a bottle cap. It's used to keep the water in the bottle. What is it?
This is a bottle cap. It is used to keep water in the bottle, but I can use this one to make, for taking the medicine, for the local medicine. What is this?
This is a bottle cap. I can use this to make earring. What is this?
William, what is it?
That was very fun. No, I love it. It brings out the child in everyone.
Yes. No, that it's true that people have very rigid mindsets. Even people dominate. We have know-it-alls like me who want to say, no, this is the way it has to be done. And so the facilitator has to say, that's a good idea, Kinsey, now sit down and let's hear from someone else. And so everyone has a chance to offer even something that seems foolish. Yeah.
Okay, we have another question. Are participants paid in order to attend the event, or are they reimbursed time if they are away from their fields or other employment?
Well, the cultures are different, but we usually say that if you pay people to attend a training, you muddy the water. You make the water unfit for the person that follows or the training that follows. So we try to find people with a high motivation level that don't ask for allowances to sit. If there's a really justifiable reason, like reimbursing for attendance because of the distance, the travel maybe, or the accommodation, that might be more likely to be agreed upon, to be paid.
And again, another thing is to make sure that the training is happening right there where the participants are living. Like in a particular village, you go there, at the center of the village, you know that every participant is coming from home and will not need transport to be refunded.
So this creative capacity building is meant to happen at the close community level, correct?
Sure.
Yes, although there is now an organization which you remember called Twende, which has developed a development lab, and they host trainings of groups on a regular basis. And they have all the tools and the materials there, and that's also an ideal classroom. So it depends on the organization's capacity to host, and if they have the tools, and if they have the funds to reimburse people to come. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm just going to remind everyone, if you have additional questions, I'm still filtering through them, but if you have more, you can go to the session Q&A section on the Whova app and go down to the bottom and click Ask a Question. Or if you are in the Zoom, you can directly ask it in the chat. And someone did just ask in our chat, during the CCB training, do you offer them food or something to eat and drink? I know the answer to this, but I want to hear it from you guys.
Yes, we do, because the CCB is taking the whole day. Like if you start at 8, you are going to close maybe at around 5. So people should take lunch.
Yes, and mandazi, or the fried bread, is very much desired, at least by me. We had another question during the plenary talk that a person said, I see that the attendants have access to tools during the training. Can you still do this training in rural areas where people do not have access to tools or materials for building prototypes?
Yes, we do. I remember we did one at near Tukia. So the trainer from Twende has collected all the tools we needed for that particular training. So we can do it anywhere, so long as we can take the tools with us.
This is Sophia Kasubi, who works as our executive assistant.
And she has been a trainer of CCB.
Trainer for CCB.
Yes, that's right. It's usually necessary to buy tools as part of the kit that you leave with the team that builds, if they don't have tools. Otherwise, it's no good for them that as soon as you leave, the creation stops. But usually simple tools are enough.
Like hammers, like axes, simple tools, and also the materials that are used to make the generic, like other devices like maize sheller. You have to make sure that if you are going to divide people into groups, each group should be having the material to develop that kind of devices. So it has some preparations which should be done before the training.
Okay, and we have a few different people asking about how do you receive training to be a trainer for creative capacity building? What type of things or materials or trainings of trainers are available to help some of our participants become the leaders of a creative capacity building training?
First of all, you have to be having the interest of making things, of training, and make sure that you are able to share the skills with people. And also you should be a person who can facilitate, who has the facilitation skills which are more of participatory rather than maybe teaching. And not necessarily having the skills of doing everything, because the idea are born during the training, and there might be some fabricators or people who can do better than you facilitate. But you should be having that capacity of moderating or facilitating. But you need also the training on how to do that. You need to participate in the training, maybe like 2 or 3 trainings, and you'll be able to get some skills, because the training is more of hands-on than theory. So the more you attend the training and the more you develop facilitation skills, you are likely to be a very good trainer.
And above all, you need to have passion on technology and innovation as well.
That was very well said. And just to remind all of our attendees, you will have access to the video that Erwin and Harold shared this morning, as well as the PowerPoint on this Whova app, as well as eventually on echocommunity.org. So you can also see that breakdown that they had for each day as well.
May I recommend also, there is a manual on the design cycle and creative capacity building.
Sure.
We can avail that on the Echo community.
Yeah, that will be housed in the same link that we have shared already in the chat. We'll put it there. Wonderful. We also have a question. Are there any best practices that you can share about how to make sure that the right stakeholders are engaged, especially including those who are often overlooked or marginalized?
The question has the answer within it. To make sure that the marginalized are included. In fact, there probably should be a gender balance, unless the theme is very sex-linked. There should definitely be a balance of men and women, at least 50-50 women, not less than 50%.
And also, if it is in a village, you better know the way the livelihood activities that are happening in that village. And the people who are doing the particular activity, like farmers, they know their problems better than anybody else. So this, you can be somehow selective purposely to make sure that a certain group is represented in that kind of training. If are the people who are working with donkeys, and you know they are women, they are men, they are doing different activities by using the same donkeys, you make sure that the women are well represented and also the men are also represented.
Simon had a good question to follow up on the training of trainers. He asked, does an organization need any sort of accreditation to run a CCB workshop or training?
I would think to be mentored by someone who's done it is essential. So we'd welcome people to come to be co-facilitating. If we do in the future CCBs, or if someone wants to do a CCB, would like us to mentor them, we'd be happy to do so. Again, facilitation is a skill which comes with doing. I don't think that there's accredited CCB trainers in Tanzania. There's no process yet developed to give accreditation.
That's great encouragement. We can all do it. We don't have to get accredited to do it.
Yeah.
We have a good question about follow-up. A participant asked, apart from the technical support and the tools and the workshop itself, how do you support the groups that you are working with? For how long do you follow up with them, for example?
Okay. Fabricators and champions.
Yeah, the follow-up is done maybe a month or later after the training, and this involves provision of resources as well, because if you follow up and you see the people, the group are working on that particular technology or prototype, and you ask them what do they lack, and you found that they lack some resources or even some simple tools that they need, then you can list out those requirements, and you should be having some resources to support the process to go on. Another thing, maybe technically, you may find the person who is doing the follow-up, you don't have enough skills to build that particular technology. You can link them up with another institution or person who is able, or even a specific fabricator who can help better than what they are doing. But they should own the designing process, that it belongs to them, but they are getting facilitation to achieve their goal.
I remember also we used to have chapter meeting whereby members meet and then they discuss about their technologies, maybe challenges and how to improve. So even through these chapter meetings, it is the way of doing follow-up.
I can say that sometimes the prototype to change into product, it takes time. It can take a very long time.
Even marketing is a big challenge. That was one of the real challenges, is when you've got a product, how do you then get finance and get a market to make it to be sustainable as a business? These are challenges which are not easy. They need some study and more exploration on who's interested in this technology, etc. So value chain is actually begun.
That's really good insight. We have another question that was following up on the doing the CCB in rural areas with less tools. They asked, what kind of tools do you need for the training? For example, what are the minimum tools that you would need to have in order to conduct this training?
Yes, the ordinary tools, simple tools like hammers, like hacksaws, like
pliers,
pliers, like
tin cutters,
tin cutters,
yeah,
gloves,
wood saw,
drill,
Yeah.
hand drill, because we are expecting that like rural villages in Tanzania, not all places have electricity. So we have handy tools. So we have big briefcase that is having so many tools and the devices and the things, even the materials itself. So we have many tools, but many of them are hands.
hand operated,
Yeah.
hand powered, not electrical.
Not electrical.
Yeah. You have to anticipate what are the likely products that could come out. So, for example, we knew that we would try to do something for the donkeys for their backs. And we thought we would engage an organization that has some experience in creating saddles and harnesses so that they could share some of their experiences and then the farmers could say what they could do. That was needful. We also engaged another facilitating organization that had experience in making yokes in Uganda. It was Tiller International local counterpart came from Uganda. From Kenya, we had also
Somebody was being,
who was making ox yokes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Partnerships are wonderful.
Yeah.
We have another very good question in the chat. They asked, do you support manufacturing and development of these techniques that are developed during the CCB?
Afterwards, yes. Those that show promise. And this must be that there's a champion that's going to move it forward. They don't give it to us to move. They have to come and show initiative. And that gives us excitement that we will want to support them.
And how do you,
Same with the schools.
Oh, go ahead.
At the schools, we provided an incentive to the groups at the college that the best 5 ideas out of 15 groups would be funded with up to $500 to produce a prototype. So this, the ideas were generated and then prototypes were made, and then finally some were selected for developing of a product.
And are there
There's a
times when you
competition.
connect the designer with the manufacturer who is separated or who is a professional manufacturer?
Are you suggesting or asking?
Are there ways to make those connections or best practices to make those connections?
For sure. Even exchange visits between the fabricators and the designer or the champion, so that they can see what others are doing and get ideas on how to modify their design. And we also have to protect the idea somehow, that some manufacturers might just take the idea and run alone. So one has to be a bit cautious on how you do share. But generally, we're talking open source, and if someone runs with your idea, not to see it as a defeat, but as a victory, that your idea is being grabbed, and maybe doesn't mean you have to stop. Maybe you'll still be the victor if you want. You carry it through in a different direction.
Mm.
There's too many walls in the world that people are not sharing their silos. So we try to break down walls and get people to change it and exchange ideas.
Mm. We had a follow-up question on that too. Someone asked, to be scaled up an appropriate technology the manufacturing or business aspect of appropriate technology will have to be brought up. Does the training include how the innovators can become entrepreneurs?
That can come.
Yeah, you can talk about the lady who came to Twende to train about the business aspect.
Yeah, after finishing the training, the prototypes are at a very nasty stage, and we haven't yet knowing which prototypes are going to go how long, which ideas are going to go how long. So we keep monitoring these ideas, and when we found that they are very promising, they're about to be a product, then other trainings can come in to help the person depending on the need, because this person or the innovator is being visited every time. So when you, one time we realized that many people, they lack entrepreneurship skills. Then we call them and give them entrepreneurship skills. They were able to identify what is the cost, what is the price, and what is the profit, and how to go about these calculations, how to do the marketing.
Sometimes you've linked also with the Small Industries Development Organization, CEDO.
Sure.
And some you've linked to Accreditation organization, which is one which fosters with low interest, no interest loans. So there are many aspects that you can link to other organizations. You can't be the one who solves all those challenges.
And someone asked, as a follow-up to that as well, from your experience, do you see that people become excited to become entrepreneurs, or do they simply like to solve their own problems in the village or their own specific family problems?
People are in different levels, but we have very few examples. We have several examples here of people who have come very good entrepreneurs. We have one champion who was working on avocado pressing machine. This was started as a hand pressing machine, but he developed the idea, including the entrepreneurship skills and support that he got. And now, as I'm talking, he has a mini factory, which is now pressing avocado oil, and he has employed 6 young men who are working there. And now he has opened another branch in another region. And now he's going for the third mini factory. And you can see that this idea started from very simple idea, and now he's a very good entrepreneur who is employing people. We have another one also who was doing manure spreader, and he has developed the idea, and now he has registered the company, and now has done several sales of the manure spreader. So
there's a woman also making.
We have another named Margaret Omari, who was working on
Soap cutter.
soap cutter. It started as a simple idea during the training, and now she's making the soap cutters for other women. And she's doing very good business. The business has expanded as well.
I would also say that some people are good at at ideas and taking them to products, but have no interest in business. Now we have our best facilitator, Bernard. He just keeps creating things, but he doesn't want to take them to the product. To the business level. He gets one idea to sell on its own, and then he leaves it.
But the good thing, we have been connecting him with other organizations where he's doing his job, like the connection with the Project Concern International, where he went and made some of the
drip
irrigation kits. So that is kind of business.
We help him to be a businessman too, but he's more of an inventor.
So we realize that people need to be connected. The innovators, most of the innovators are very good in creating things, but they ignore business part of it. So we encourage partnership. teamwork, so that they can get benefit out of it.
There's a Mona Rusi who's making, she's doing palm nut oil extraction. She's making machines for her people. There's another man who started a large business making fodder choppers, electric powered fodder choppers. So there's quite a number of businesses that have been born out of this. So we see it's a very potential thing.
Yes, that's wonderful. We only have 5 minutes left during this breakout session. So if you have any more questions, please make sure you get them in that session Q&A. And if we don't get to them now, we might be able to respond to you after today's event is over. So don't feel like just because we don't have time here means we won't be able to give you feedback. So feel free to continue to put in questions, although we probably only have time for a few more. One question we haven't gotten to yet. Oh, go ahead, Erwin.
I hope that Harold's email will be widely shared because he likes to respond to them, and people want more ideas. Are professional on facilitating CCB.
Yes, he's a very talented and encouraging facilitator, to say the least. One more question we haven't had time for was, someone asked, from your experience, do you see that there is key life skills or specific appropriate technologies that are consistent across culture and context to be helpful?
I didn't understand the question well.
They asked, is there a certain skill set or a specific technology that you find to be successful or important across contexts?
You know what I see in CCB based on the experience, there is no specific skills, but what is needed is the passion. I can say it is more of talent. People who are talented, who like to create things, that should become as a foremost. Mostly it doesn't have anything to do with education, the level of education. I've seen people of different disciplines like accountants creating machines.
I think it helps if you're left-handed, though. Bonnie's here. He wants to say hello.
Hello?
We have
Hello,
people
sis.
from all. We have people from all over the world here asking questions about the creative capacity building workshops. Bonnie, what is your favorite part of the CCB training?
Yeah, I was in one of the CCB, and we have arranged some CCB too. We have less COVID, so we can arrange for more, I think.
What is your best part to prefer? Yeah.
Best part?
Best part of the CCB training?
Best.
The practical skills. I mean, practice.
Good.
Okay, maybe just one more question to leave us thinking about creative capacity and how important it is. Someone asked that, what do you think the lack of creative capacity or the feelings that one has creative capacity, how does that limit somebody or the community?
I think the limit is people do not want to think outside the box. So that is a big problem. But once they are going through the cycle, they now start that it is possible for them to think outside the box. So that is the only limit, but it can't be solved.
It helps to make it fun. If you can make it fun, people are willing to explore, like making something out of paper to construct, to hold maize cobs up off the table. that is really tough for all of us to consider. How do you do it? So make it fun, make it challenging.
Because the reason of CCB, or the main objective of CCB, is to enable people who think that they cannot solve their problems to come to the point that they will realize that they can solve problems. So witnessing people who came to the training thinking they cannot do anything, but after the training, they are going to do different things that they were more than what they were thinking before. So the limitation, I could say, maybe if the person maybe stopped to attend the training when he's invited, that could be the limitation itself. But when you come to the training, you should go out completely different. And that is the purpose of CCB, has to change the people, has to transform them, their mindset, the way they do things, the way they think, to be a different people who can do things now.
Also utilizing the different materials like the leftovers, things which have been used before or they are not in use. So people will think how to reuse. As Erin and Harold mentioned at the beginning, that you can have something which it can have multiple use. So this is also a very, very, very good, I mean, very, very good agenda for the CCB.
So you asked for 2 facilitators, but we weren't satisfied. You have to be creative.
You all have very valuable experience and perspective. I'm glad that you all were able to give your input and feedback for this group. And I want to thank all of the attendants who have come to this breakout session. I hope that this was a valuable time for you. And it's amazing to know that there are participants from over 45 different countries around the world listening in and seeking this perspective on how to build creative capacity in their own contexts. So thank you all. Please continue to have discussion with each other, to connect with each other. I'm going to close out this meeting and encourage everybody to go to the closing of this event, which you can find by clicking agenda, scrolling down, and then clicking view session on the closing. So thank you all for being here.